Before we talk to Ravishing Rick Rude, it seems as if Nature Boy Ric Flair has signed a contract with WCW. The contract goes into effect on February 16th, we understand, and he will be at SuperBrawl 3, but we do not know in what capacity. We will update everyone on that situation on the Wrestling Hotline this Saturday. And also, we understand, our sources say that Davey Boy Smith is scheduled to wrestle at SuperBrawl 3 against Wild Bill Irwin. A very important match, first time back for Wild Bill Irwin in quite some time, and first time ever at a pay-per-view for Davey Boy Smith. Also, Ron Simmons' shoulder injury may be a little more serious than expected. His status next Sunday at SuperBrawl has a little cloud over it, and we'll certainly update you on that on the hotline as well. Of course, Simmons scheduled to take on Dustin Rhodes for the United States Heavyweight Championship. Also, sometime this week on Entertainment Tonight, Sting and Big Van Vader will be featured. I don't know exactly the night, but I do know that the material was taped and sent to Entertainment Tonight to air before Sunday's SuperBrawl 3 event. And Jim Cornette's Heavenly Bodies will meet the Rock and Roll Express. That match added to SuperBrawl 3. If you watch the main event on TBS tonight, you know the circumstances surrounding that. We'll be taking your telephone calls and talking about those situations as the hour progresses. But now I do want to go to the telephone and talk to the former United States heavyweight champion, a man that has been on the injury list. And, Rick, we do appreciate you taking time to be with us here tonight.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Ross.
What has been a lot of fans have called regarding your injury. Tell me exactly the diagnosis of your neck injury.
It's a ruptured disc between the 5th and 6th vertebrae. It causes my left arm and hand to go numb, and for quite a spell I was having real dizzy spells.
The problem, very, very serious, of course, in light with so many spinal cord injuries, unfortunately, to guys like Dennis Byrd and Mike Utley. That's a real dangerous area. And I know you get good care. What's the prognosis now? What's your status physically?
Well, right now I feel pretty good. The numbness has gone away. Every now and then it comes back, but nowhere near the amount that it was. And my strength has held up pretty well. The neck injury will heal, Jim, but it's the pain that the WCW has caused me, and I don't know how long that's going to take to heal. Obviously, they're trying to railroad me out of this sport. First of all, they forced me to defend my title twice on Halloween Havoc. Have you ever, in the history of this sport, heard of such a thing before then, Jim?
Quite frankly, I have not.
No, you haven't. And all of a sudden, Rick Rude gets a disc injury, and under doctor's orders, I cannot perform. Not that I didn't want to. That was a chance of my lifetime. I was going to become the WCW World Champion, and the whole world knew it. The disc injury kept me from doing that. And then, after the WCW has been notified by my doctors the length of time that I would be out, they come up with a 30-day rule. When, Jim Ross, in the history of this sport, have you ever heard of such a rule?
Well, quite frankly, I've heard of the rule. I've heard it also being not strictly adhered to from time to time. I know exceptions have been made.
Example, Sting when he cracked his ribs?
Yeah, I can even go back farther than that. Dory Funk Jr. got an extension one time after injuries resulting in a car wreck. So they have made extensions on the rule. I don't know why they didn't make an exception in your case.
They did make an exception in my case. They stripped me of the title. That was the exception. That wasn't the rule.
Well, the bottom line now is that Dustin Rhodes is the United States heavyweight champion.
But is he? Is he really the United States champion?
Well,
I haven't even watched your television show since I've been off. I've been so depressed about this whole situation. But does Dustin Rhodes actually have the nerve to walk around holding his head up, calling himself the United States champion when he never beat the champion to attain the belt?
Well, I'm sure that he probably feels, too, that it was somewhat of a tainted victory, quite frankly. But he does have possession of the belt, and he will be defending it in 1 week at SuperBrawl. And that, my next question, you've wrestled Dustin Rhodes in the past. You've wrestled Ron Simmons in the past. You know both men quite well. They'll be wrestling for what you perceive as your title. But casting that aside, what's your evaluation of the match? How would you analyze this particular match between these two individuals?
Well, I'd have to give the edge strength and speed and agility to Ron Simmons, overall a better athlete. But as far as wrestling maneuvers in the ring, I'm going to have to give the edge to Dustin Rhodes. One way or another, neither man, whoever comes out with the title, can call themselves champion until they take on and defeat Ravishing Rick Rude.
When you return to action, which I understand is going to be around March 1st, is that still pretty accurate?
Yes, it is.
As far as you're concerned, is your intention to, your priorities to first attempt to regain the United States title, or is it to seek a championship match, perhaps with Big Van Vader? What will be your first priority?
Well, the way I'm thinking about it, Jim, is maybe I should just go for the title match, the world title match, off the bat. Maybe my chances of getting a title match as in a lower-ranked contender are greater, because I have been the number one contender, or I was the number one contender, for over 15 months. I became the United States champion on my first day into the WCW.
I remember.
And for 15 months, I didn't get a shot at the world title. So maybe my chances are going to be better if I'm ranked lower at just going for the world title and Big Van Vader.
It does seem strange that you could be ranked that long at the top and not get any more championship opportunities. Could you perhaps look at poor management? Did that have something to do with, you weren't negotiating for yourself, quite honestly, during that 15-month period?
Well, that's true, but it would seem to me that the matchmakers would book the matches, and it would seem to me, not only does it seem strange that I didn't get title matches after 15 months in the number one position, also the two-match in a night seems strange, and also relinquishing my belt due to an injury, that seems strange. And if you put all those together, it almost seems like the WCW is trying to railroad Rick Rude out of the sport, but they can't do it.
Well, the big event next Sunday, I know that the fans will miss your participation in that event because you are a phenomenal athlete. I've said that on many occasions. I certainly stand by that point. Looking at the feature event of the pay-per-view, you're a veteran of the sport. I'm assuming you've been in leather strap matches in your career at some point in time. The Sting Big Van Vader match causing a lot of discussion. I certainly feel that Sting is going to be a major underdog, and quite frankly, I think Van Vader's going to win that match. What's your opinion of Vader at 450, Sting at approximately 250, strapped together in this situation?
Well, I agree with you, Jim, and the deciding factor there is the fact that they will be strapped together. Sting, in order to beat Van Vader, would have to stay away from the man for a certain amount of time to wear Vader down, to where he can't catch his breath, and finally take him off his feet and finally beat him. But strapped to Van Vader, there's no way that Sting is going to be able to stay away for that amount of time. I think it could be the end for Sting.
So your prognosis is to be back in competition sometime the first week of early part of March, and we certainly wish you well on your physical recovery, and I'm sure that the minute you walk back into WCW around March 1st, that you're going to be right back in the thick of the title picture.
Well, I appreciate it, Jim, and you don't know how much I'm looking forward to being back.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. I appreciate you taking your time here on Valentine's Day. I know a man of your vast resources that Valentine's Day is almost like a national holiday. It's Rick
$20,000 in flowers and candies, sweets for my sweets.
All right. Well, have a great one, and thank you for your time.